Hello, welcome back. Okay, today I'm going to sew one of my favorite things that I like to sew, which is this little notions case. I'm going to show you in a second, but I wanted to show you something I'm about to make in a few days, and I just wanted to give you a heads up if you want to join me. And so I'm going to be making a split tool belt, and this is going to be a new free pattern that you can download. And so split, it won't split, it won't turn around because of the Christmas lights. But there's a little tool belt, and then it's split in the back. So you see how it's separate here so that someone can squat down, they can bend over, and same with the front. So it's a side style tool belt. There's 3 pockets on each side. They're elasticized. This one has a little magnetic pocket. And this one just has 3 pockets. You can customize it however you want, or for the person that you want to give it to. I'm going to be giving it to a gardener. I made this last May live, and I drafted it live. And I worked a lot on like what I wanted to put in each pocket. And I'm here to tell you it doesn't matter, because when you're using it, you'll put anything in any pocket. It doesn't matter. So if you want to join me, I will have a link to the pattern hopefully in the description of this video, and if not, that'll be in a couple days. I think on Sunday is when it's going to happen. It's after this part 2 of the Divided Basket live stream. And yeah, I'm hoping you'll join me. So anyway, let's get to what we're doing today. Oh, here, I can take it off here and show you a little bit more. I didn't bring the one I use in because it's freaking filthy. That's just no two ways about it. All right, so there's the little apron here. I use like a hemp twill that is got this waterproof coating on it. Here's the other side. I sew this in a few different ways so that if you don't want to do any binding, there is a non-binding way. If you don't want to serge elastic and you want to put a casing on here, I show you how to do that. If you don't want to clean finish it and you want to overlock and turn and top stitch, I show you that. What's the other modification I give you? I think that's it. I think I give you all the modifications to make it as easy as possible. Oh, if you don't have webbing, I give you a option to sew the belt out of fabric. Or if you don't have a buckle, you can make a belt that ties. So there's lots of different options with it. And you should pretty much have things on hand. Like I just use scraps for this project. But if you don't, none of these things are too hard to find. So I hope you'll join me in sewing that, and it'll be a new free pattern on my website. And it's called the split tool belt, or tool belt, garden tool belt, something like that. All right, today, okay, this right here. Do you know what you're looking at right here? This is the entire Sew Live YouTube channel in this little hard drive. And I just, you know, I treat this very nicely, I promise, but I'm still a little paranoid about it. With hard drives, it's not if they're going to fail, it's when, right? And so I really want to take care of it. And I would like to be putting it in my bag in like a little pouch. So I was thinking today I'd make a little notions case, and that's what this is here. I'm going to make one for mine that's a little bit more appropriate in size. So the notions case has a clear front if you want. And then it does have binding and a little bit of stiffener, and you can throw scissors in these. I did everything, like we put knitting needles, scissors, stitch markers. They just work really great. I will link vinyl in the description of this video. That's what I get asked all the time, is what kind of vinyl to use. I use a stiffener that is similar to Pellon 70. I don't use a fusible. You could even use a bunch of layers of canvas if you want to get rid of some fabric or something. But this is just a sewable, washable stiffener. You could probably use soft and stable. It's not going to be as stiff as this. It would be more flexible. And then you need a zipper. All of the information is on the pattern, and that's linked in the description. It's free. It's on my website. All right, so let me show you what I'm going to be using today. Let's put my hard drive back where it belongs. All right, so I'm actually using not zipper by the yard for once. I'm using a regular zipper. Got some binding. You need about 40 inches of binding, 1 3/8 inch wide. Here's the 2 pattern pieces. They don't look like this in the download. These are legit pattern pieces that I trace around. They're pretty funky. You need 2 pieces that are the front and the back. So one for the front and one for the back. And I'm going to be using this little typewriter and this for the back. So this is my front, this is my back. And here's a tip. You want if you're going to do like a cute little motif, you know, like you want a monkey right here, you don't want to center it at the top. You want to center it low. All right. And this is right here about, we'll just say it's 1.5 inches down. So make sure all your motifs land below this line here, 1.5 inches away. And basically, if you were to lay the vinyl pattern piece on top, you want it to sit under that edge, right? Because that's the vinyl window right there, right? So that's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't want it to sit up here, like eyeballs up there, and then you just have a headless monkey. Trust me, I've done it. So learn from me here. All right. What else can I tell you? What other tips can I tell you? Well, I think like if you're using a light colored fabric, make sure you don't have any lint on your stiffener sitting here. It will show through, things like that. But I'll talk to you about things like that. As for the vinyl, I use a 12 gauge matte or frosted vinyl. You can get it at Joann Fabrics. I will hopefully find a link directly to it and put it in the description. Before I found a wholesale vendor, that is what I used. It works really great. Hopefully they haven't changed it. I like matte and frosted. I do not like high glare vinyl. It is just a personal preference. I like 12 gauge. I like the heaviest gauge I can find. It's usually 12 gauge. Sometimes gauges will vary 10 to 12 to 14. You just never know. As long as you can sew it and it seems sturdy, I think that that's the one to get. If you have those bags that, you know, like your bedding came in, they're those clear vinyl zip up bags, that's kind of lightweight. But hey, if you're just want to practice making these or you don't mind it, maybe yours is a nice quality vinyl, use it. At least use it without throwing it into the landfill, right? All right. So we pretty much have everything we need. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our fabric pieces here, and we're going to make a sandwich. All right, so I've got my backing. Make sure you get rid of these little threads. They plague you, trust me. I've had seconds where I couldn't send the product to someone because I saw a thread in there, and I couldn't just pull it out anywhere, right? All right, so put your back, which is this one right here. You want that right side out. Your stiffener, and then your little inside fabric right side up. And we'll just set that aside. And now we're going to bind the vinyl. So I'm going to put my binding on this little spindle back here. And I'm going to start on the wrong side. Now this has a slightly shinier side than this one, so I'm going to start on the wrong side, binding right side to the wrong side, so face down. And we're going to sew this with a 1/4 inch seam. Nobody's going to see the bottom of this bindle. Ooh, I haven't sewn much vinyl on this machine and it's not liking it. That's kind of funny. My old machine was fine with it. All right, so nobody's going to see the binding on this side right now. So we're just going to turn it to the right side and edge stitch it. Nobody's going to see the inside. All right, so don't sweat it. Just make sure that little edge goes just past where we just sewed. Let's see, is it light enough for you? Let me make it a little lighter for you. I always have the light off so we can get the full effect of the Christmas lights. But it makes it a little dark in here. Now it's the sun's going down. Oh boy, I'm about to, here, I'm gonna do this. Just trust me. Then we'll do that. Yeah. And then we'll zoom in just a little bit more. How's that? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, so now we have our little vinyl window. And now you're going to take your zipper, and I never use non-zipper by the yard, so I'm like, what is the best way to do this? Yeah, I think I'll just line this up so that the tape is just past my vinyl edge right here so that I can bind along it. But if you're using zipper by the yard, my zipper usually goes like off of the edge there, and I just bind right through it. All right, and you're just going to line this up so that the zipper tape doesn't go past your binding, right? You don't want it to show below that binding edge, so just line it up there. I'm going to move my zipper head out of the way to get it going there. This zipper is so much narrower than what I usually use, so it feels a little funny to me. I'm going to put my zipper back up. And we're just edge stitching it on, just like that. And now I'm gonna trim off the end of the zipper there. We're gonna line this all up on top of here. Oh yeah, that's right. I cut down my Notions case to fit my hard drive. And because my zipper is narrower, I'm gonna have extra up there. So we're just gonna line this up with this extra hanging off here. And bias it down here towards the curved edges so we don't have to adjust other things. I'm trying to get this little stiffener edge to be lined up too. Now, one thing I have learned with sewing these, sorry, I'm making it a mess. Keep this back side really taut, okay? I don't do a lot of tacking, and the reason is because I don't want it to sneak out and show on from my binding edge. All right, so I'm just gonna tack that there, just a little bit. And we're gonna pull this zipper tape closed up here and tack that. Don't get a bubble in your vinyl. Like that. And now I'm gonna trim off this little excess here because I made my Notions case 1 inch shorter in length. Cut this, and then I'm gonna trim off this top edge right here down to the zipper width. When I use zipper by the yard, it's wider. I've made these really huge too, like to accommodate people's devices or whatever. And you can make these any shape you want, basically. The vinyl just needs to be about 3/4 of an inch shorter than the back pieces there. All right, so here we go. We're gonna do some binding. Woo woo. If you have a label that you wanna put on, oh great, does this fit here? Yeah. If you have a label you wanna put on, I always like putting it like right there. If you want to slip it under the vinyl, you could do that. That's fun. We're going to start on the back side. Put your binding face down. I'm going to move my zipper head out of the way a little bit. And we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam. Now, I'm going to admit, the hardest part about this is the corners on the other side. So when we do these corners right now, we're going to pay attention to them. We're going to make sure we stay at that 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to lift up my presser foot and I kind of adjust it as I go. I'm gently pulling the binding. That way, when it goes to the right side, it'll naturally want to kind of hug the Notions case. And I'm always smoothing out this fabric here. If you needed to tack the perimeter, go for it. All right, and so here I am at this corner again, gently tugging my binding. You can see I don't use pins or clips because I find it easier to keep these two separate. But if you need to clip it, that's really helpful. All right, we're gonna go straight off the top there, trim the binding flush like that. You can see how it's lifting up. That's because it's pulled a little bit and it'll gently hug the Notions case when we flip it to their side. All right, so let's look at this side. You can see this side looks a little bit wider right here. So let's just trim this down a little bit. We want this seam allowance to be nice and even. Like I always say, I like it to fill the binding up, but we don't want it to be too big, especially these corners. Do not trim these corners down too little. That's when you get into trouble when we pull it to the right side. Because if this little corner is trimmed down too much and then you pull your binding to this side and you sew it down, and that is so shallow, that seam allowance is so shallow, it places this folded edge way inside the Notions case. What's going to happen is, well, I'd show you, but I want to poke a hole in my vinyl. If you stuck a pin straight down there, it would end up being right here, not on the binding, okay? So it's just thinking about logistics. That's kind of how I had to think about binding when I was trying to get better and better at it, because I was really bad at it for a long time. I just started trying to figure out, like, where's the needle? That's what I just kept asking. Where's the needle and where does it need to be? All right, and so I got my awl, and what I do is I already turned this edge under like this. Get rid of that thread there. And I'm gonna use the awl to pull and position this folded edge. I don't want it to go past this line too far, that stitch line, right? Because then we'll get that issue I was just talking about. So I kind of pull it away. Always when these curves, you gotta kind of like place it down. And my finger's kind of pulling really firmly right there. I don't take no for an answer there. And I'm gonna lift my presser foot up so that I don't get any torquing as I go around the corner. I haven't sewn one of these in a really long time, but they are one of my favorite things to sew. The fabric I used was from the Ruby Star Society mask panel. Those fabrics were so cute, I couldn't bear to use them. So I'm like, wait, I'm going to start using them for this. And I have another little project coming up that I was just looking at today. I'm going to use some of those masks for. All right, we're up here at the top. There we go. Let's see how we did. Okay, that's the best one I've sewn in years. Okay, I got a little bit of like mushing here. I don't really like that too much, but it's on the back side. We probably would have let this go in production and in quality control. I have a little piece of vinyl right there, look. That I wouldn't let go. But if you trim both sides, then you can kind of work it out as long as you make sure that it's cut where the stitches are. All right. So the other thing to consider when you're picking out your fabrics is picking a fabric that really matches your thread color, and then you won't see your little stitches on your fabric there. So that's another little tip. All right, so we just need to bind the top when we're done. This is a really fast little thing once you get the hang of them. We used to make a really small one for stitch markers. You know, you can have a lot of fun with this little design. All right, so this time we're gonna make sure we have a straight end here. We're gonna start on the back again. Make sure any of your little threads are pushed towards the raw edge. And we're gonna hang off like an inch, like that, an inch or 3/4 of an inch. I know it's not straight, that's okay. And then we're gonna wrap it around like this, really taut, like pull it really tight right there, all right? And now we're gonna sew this, again, 1/4 of an inch seam. Now we can kind of relax. The zipper head's at this end. Sometimes, depending on what kind of zipper you have, it may be trying to push your machine away. I'm sliding my zipper head down to the other end. And now I'm gonna gently pull this a tiny bit, give myself that inch. And again, and the reason I pulled a little bit is because I'm about to pull really hard to get it nice and smooth against the case. And I wrap it around. Once I have like 2 inches left to sew, I then wrap that tail around. If you don't want to wrap it right now, that's okay. Leave it hanging off right now and then come to this side, pull it to the front, and then stitch it down. That is a lot easier. And sometimes it's really hard to do it. And that's what I do. I do it in a 2-step process. All right, so this is our last little seam. I really liked all my fabric choices. Now I'm seeing it. It's okay. I like, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes things just look differently. All right, so now we're gonna do a little tricky folding here, and this is gonna make a nice clean edge here. So you see how we have this folded back. We're gonna take this and we're gonna fold down a corner, and this little edge here is gonna line up to the top of the case there. So like right like that. See that? Just like that. And now you're just gonna fold it like you do normal binding. So fold down to that top of the case again, and then fold one more time. And then now you have a nice little envelope there. Let's see if we can get a nicer thing. This is what I've learned about doing this. Tighter is not better. So if you're getting that like extra fold like I just got, see how I got that little messiness right there? This is how you can get rid of that. Fold it up higher like this, then come down and then fold it. And you see how I got it right there on the corner there. And if this is hanging down too low, all you gotta do is fold this a little bit more like that. Little things you just learn from getting tired of the exact same mistake or something, you know, little thing. Like, you know how like you start doing something a lot and then you think you're doing a really great job, and then after a year you're like, you know, why does it always do this thing? You know, so I've had plenty of time to think about that with these. Okay, partly it's because this seam allowance on the top isn't very wide because I use such a narrow zipper, and that's why I had to fold so much extra there. All right, so now we're getting down here, and you can see this looks a little messy, right? So we're gonna pull up this raw edge of the underside there just to kind of straighten it out and just make sure this is nice and taut, right? And now again, we're gonna fold down this corner above or a little bit like to this top edge or just above it, and then fold again to that top edge, and then fold again just like that. Just like that. I dropped my scissors earlier and I keep meaning to pick them up, so I have to use these big chunky ones. All right. Oof, I love that fabric. Yay. Okay, let's put in my hard drive. Now my hard drive has a special little Notions case. I think this one needs a little zipper pull too. Not as big as this one here. This one was a lot longer. Maybe I can steal this old chicken boots zipper pull from this one that my friend Maria made me. My little chicken logo. Because this zipper slider is so tiny. I love the sliders on the zipper by the yard. They're just a lot easier to grab. All right, let's see if I cut that down, so I don't know if I have enough. I have more of this waxed cotton cord though. There we go, pull this through. Is that it? No, this is it right here. Oh boy, nothing like watching someone struggle to do this stuff. You just want to reach through and grab it, huh? Okay, make that nice and taut. Clean it up. There we go. Now my hard drive has a nice little case. If I drip my coffee, that's what happens. Sometimes I'm holding a cup, my coffee cup and my purse, and it'll drip off the side into my bag. I'm always like, hard drive. There's only like 600 videos on here or something. So yeah, I mean, I probably need to get another hard drive. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed today's Notions case and you get to make some. They're really great gifts. You can use them for all kinds of things. I've heard people using them for EpiPens and making them a little smaller, or just organizing pens and pencils and scissors. Great for stationery supplies, everything. These were geared towards knitters. The vinyl is strong enough to put scissors in there. I've never had one poke through. I've never had the really tiny sharp needles poke through either, so they're great. Let's write a letter to Santa. All right. Get our lucky antlers out. Okay. Dear Santa. Dear Santa. I feel like he needs a nickname. You know? I think everything needs a nickname, though. I'm one of those people. Everything has multiple nicknames. All right. We had a request, actually. We had a request in the comments section. Feel free to make requests. We have some, I have another one coming up tomorrow in the live stream, another request. And it sounds like our request for Kira getting more time, it's working for her. So this is working, people. All right. Dear Santa, someone, and me included, all of us, we would like seam allowances. Yeah, pattern companies, you're back. Seam allowances displayed on the front of the instructions. And I'm going to add, and on every page. I don't see the problem with that. And on every page. Just put it in a little box at the top on every page. And pattern piece, because I don't actually look at the instructions most of the time. So the pattern piece is key for me. In a nice, bold, easy to read, large font. You know, like this. This is how big we want it. Okay, maybe not that big. Like, okay, we want a little box, 1/2 inch seams. Please. Love. Saremy, and the person who commented didn't have a name. It just said user and lots of numbers. So Saremy and chat and commenters. Yeah, we can all agree on this one, right? Once is not enough. You putting it on there because you're like, if I put it on there once, then it forces them to read my instructions. No, I'm sorry. That's not okay to do. So just give it to me. Or, you know, I might be reading all your instructions, but if I have to look for the seam allowance again, I may forget the instructions. I don't read the instructions all the time, though. So let's face it. I would just like to see the seam allowance, all right? It's on me if I make a mistake. Anyway, all right, thanks for watching, and I hope you can make some notions cases. It's linked in the description. Free pattern on my website. Talk to you later. Bye.